from Cooperative Kids of Agawam, and we've been talking about the 6 C's of cooperation. And as I mentioned earlier, Cooperative Kids, which was founded by Bill Corbett, is founded on the principles of Rudolf Dreikurs, who says that the human goal of all behavior is to feel connected and to feel valued. And that's true for adults, and it is absolutely true for children. We've talked about that when a child does not feel valued, when a child does not feel connected, we usually find a very uncooperative child. So based on that, we've talked about the importance of calm, first keeping ourselves calm and then bringing calm to our children. We've talked about the importance of connection. Always connect before you correct, connect before you transition. We also talked about consistency. We're going to talk about that a little bit more today. When you lay down some rules, when you have boundaries, you must be consistent or none of these tools will work. And number 4, compassion. Being willing to not just look at the behavior, which is the tip of the iceberg, is what you see, but to be able to step back and ask yourself, what might be going on for my child that's creating the behavior that I see? Today I want to talk to you about consequences. And I just believe this is such an important area of cooperation. I don't believe in punishment. To me, punishment is after the fact. Punishment is when you say to your child, I can't believe you just spoke that way to me. You go to your room and you stay there until I tell you you can come out. I just don't see that working. I see a lot of shame built in with that. I see punishment. I see a breakdown of relationship. Remember, we want our children to always feel safe to come to us, regardless of their mood. We may not always like it, but we don't want our children to feel judged, because if they feel judged, if they don't feel that we are a safe place to fall, then where are they going to go when they have questions about drugs and sex and different things that may confuse them about life? We want to open up conversation. We want children to feel safe with us. For me, the biggest difference between punishment and consequence is a consequence is always laid out ahead of time. In fact, there's also value in allowing the child to be a part of determining their own consequence. I believe that children need to be taught that there are always 2 paths that they get to choose. So when they come home, they can come home and talk to you in a very disrespectful way. That's one road they can go. Or they can come home and they can choose to be respectful. They can ask for what they need. That's another path. And whichever path they choose, you're still going to love them. However, they have to accept what's at the end of the path that they choose. And that's where consequences live. So when you take a child out to the store and you review with your child, so what are the rules? Let's go through those rules again. I can't remember them because somebody helped me to remember what those rules are. Children love to be the teacher. You review the rules so the children know, okay, there's 2 paths when we go in that store. One path is that you stay close to mom. You can tell mom something that you want, but if mom's not willing to buy it for you, then you need to decide if you're going to be okay with it or not. If you choose to throw a tantrum, mommy's still going to love you. But at the end of that road means mom picks you up and takes you to the car and we go home. Now the other path is that you go in, you may see something that you like, and if mommy says, I'm not willing to buy that for you today, then you handle that. You cooperate. And at the end of that road means you get to stay in the store, we get to shop, and then we get to go home together. Another example would be with siblings. If they can play together and have fun together, at the end of that road is they get the privilege that they get to continue to play. If they choose to fight and get into an argument over whose turn it is to play with the toy, you get to quietly go in, remember calm, you get to get down to their level, ask for the toy, and let them know that they can have the toy back when they decide how they're going to cooperate with each other. So they know ahead of time. This is the consequence for getting along and figuring it out together. You get to keep playing with the toy. And this is what's at the end of the road if you decide that you can't play with the toy together and cooperate with each other. So mom, dad, teacher, you are not the punisher. You become simply the deliverer of consequences. The child knows ahead of time. It's not mom's fault the child doesn't have the toy. You're just giving the child what he chose at the end of the path that he decided to walk down. So consequences are extremely important. You might say to your child, sweetie, do you want to brush your teeth now and have 5 extra minutes of snuggle time and an extra book to read? Or do you want to wait and brush your teeth later and only get 1 book to read? It's up to you. What would you prefer? You're giving them a choice. Children love to have choices. They need to feel empowered by choices. But then you as a mom, you have to be consistent and make sure that you honor the choice that they make. If they decide to wait and then they get into bed and beg you for 2 books, you cannot give in. You must be consistent. So if they get into bed and say, oh mom, please read me another book, please. Tomorrow night I'll brush my teeth earlier, please. You get to smile and say, sweetie, tonight you chose 1 book because you chose to brush your teeth later. Now tomorrow night you can make a different choice and then maybe you will have 2 books. But you put it back on the child. But you do it from a place of calm and you do it from a place of connection. So consequences is about letting a child know ahead of time. Here are your choices. Here's what's at the end of this choice. Here's what's at the end of this choice. I will love you whatever you choose, and I will be the consistent deliverer of consequences.